penetration testing. I wonder what that's about. Whoa! 2020 has been a super shaky year, and that has left many people wondering the actual uncertainty of the job market. Sectors such as retail, travel, tourism have all been completely disrupted, and now many are wondering what are the alternatives to future jobs that are going to be on the horizon to outlast the current period that we're in. So I thought it'd be a really good idea to go over the 15 emerging jobs from a LinkedIn report. Stay all the way until the end because you'll be really surprised to know that out of these 15 jobs is not included a doctor, a lawyer, accountant. Actually, some of them will completely blow you away. So stay with me as we'll be responding to the 15 emerging jobs of the UK at this point in time, and also reviewing what skills that you're able to develop so that you can have a way to get into those careers too. If you're new to the channel, then go ahead and like and subscribe. My name is Jay Campbell. If you're somebody that's interested in making money, managing money, or multiplying your money, then this is exactly the right place for you. Okay, so links are going to be in the description for the actual reports itself. It's a study done by LinkedIn in the UK to find the 15 most upcoming jobs, and that is based on all the data that they have on the LinkedIn platform. Of course, maybe you do know about LinkedIn, but if you don't, LinkedIn is the world's largest professional networking site, and people go on the platform to post about their job situation, so their actual current post, their previous job experience, what they've actually done in those roles. So this company has a lot of data when it comes to actually understanding people's professionals' lives and the overall market conditions as to which careers are seeing a lot of growth and which careers are not in terms of the actual positions that people hold on their profiles. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. Our very first one that we have on the list here is Artificial Intelligence Specialist. And is that a surprise? Actually, to me, it's not. I'm by no means an expert in any of, or maybe actually like one of them because my profession is on this list. But most of these I'm not an expert on, so this is a legit reaction video. So artificial intelligence, I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. Like many major platforms today are using artificial intelligence. If we look at YouTube, Amazon, or it could just be like Tesco or whatever app that you're using. They're using artificial intelligence again and again to better give us suggestions and to make the user experience much better. And it's no surprise this is on here, especially with things like healthcare as well. There's a lot of artificial intelligence being combined with those roles, and just infinite of possibilities there. So with that being said, I mean, some really unique skills to help get into artificial intelligence roles. You've got things like machine learning, Python, deep learning, what? I didn't even know that was a thing, and TensorFlow. So these are some of the key skills for that. I mean, a previous background as a software engineer is a potentially good way to get into artificial intelligence. I mean, this was like not a thing taught in my school when I was in school, and I'm only 23, so that is absolutely crazy. And then you've got like data scientist, data engineer, as well as some good industries. So number one on the list is artificial intelligence specialist. Let's move on. The second one, data protection officer. Now this one definitely doesn't surprise me either. Obviously, GDPR has been a huge thing that has come into place in businesses. Data protection officers, they're in place just to be able to protect the data. They're there to make sure that the systems that are in place mean that people's or the customers' data are safe, and that actually the people working in that organization are following the right procedures so that the data is all safe and there's no big breaches. If there are breaches of data, companies can be fined huge amounts of money. So it definitely makes sense why this is such a big thing at the moment. All right, so some relevant skills: Data Privacy, Data Protection Act, GDPR, as we mentioned, and personal data protection. Some previous roles that might help with this are compliance officer, data manager, and data specialist. So a nice one there for number 2. Let's go on to number 3. So we've got Robotics Engineer, really like an advancing career as we probably would expect in the emerging job sector. Quite clear to see why this is the case, as robotics are becoming increasingly important. I mean, have you guys seen like on Amazon, for example, they're like, you know, they've got like these hoovers that like go around the house by themselves? Like, comment below if you know what I mean. And for these like kind of crazy inventions, then you've got to have somebody that knows how to like program these robots. and do all the crazy stuff associated with that. I mean, I'm sure as we go into the future, these robots are really going to do a lot more. The whole purpose of a robotics engineer is to really allow humans to have a much easier time doing their work, or just to minimize repetitive tasks, which is great for businesses, but at the same time, it could mean that there's a big shift in jobs. I mean, robots are increasingly, taking over human roles that require a lot more like labor. But this is a great way to actually tap that market. Some good skills to get into there are Blue Prism, robot programming, robot processing automation, robotics, UiPath. Like, I know nothing about them, not gonna lie. But it's a great space to be in, as you can probably imagine. And some good backgrounds to get there. Software engineer again, which is quite interesting. And automation consultant is one as well that we see on there. So that's number 3, robotics engineer. Number 4, we find as site reliability engineers. When you've got like a website, it's got to be up and running, of course. Who are the brains behind that, making sure that the website stays up, that there's no crashing, and all the kind of key stuff that actually happens when operating a website. Of course, the whole world has pretty much moved online, so a really upcoming actual job industry to look out for. Some unique skills: Amazon Web Services, Kubernetes. Not heard of that one before. Docker products and Terraform. So all of these, I mean, I've heard of Amazon Web Services, maybe a lot have, but some of the unique skill sets there. Some previous backgrounds that might help with this would be like software engineer, systems engineer, DevOps engineer. And just to point out, it's crazy, out of the top 4 on the list, 3 of them have previous roles that would be good as a software engineer. So if you're doing software engineering right now, then you are probably in a really, really good space, because it seems like so much of the emerging jobs really rely on that kind of background. So well done for all the people in software engineering. Got a bright future ahead of you, and so does everybody else. So let's have a look at number 5, customer success specialist. I love that this is on there as number 5. When we are in this time now of like being in lockdowns and everything like that, it's not like we can go into a store and speak to somebody before we purchase. A lot of the time we want to like get on the phone and speak to people. We want to have like good fast responses from like live chat if we're speaking on like mobile apps or so. And this is actually like a really, really big selling point between companies that do really well. If you know that they have great customer service, they are always there when you need them for support, it does actually help with their brand image a lot. And you guys know what I mean by that. The worst thing that you've got is when you've like paid money for a product, especially if it's expensive, and then you have like challenges with that product and there's nobody to turn to. You've got like an email that doesn't get responses back from, and it just is awful. So customer success specialist. I love the fact they're calling it customer success specialist rather than customer service. It's like an upgraded title, but I think the job they do is really, really important. Some great skills for that is Salesforce, customer retention, software as a service, account management, and a really, really good career, especially if you like talking to people, helping people as well. Some previous roles that might help with that are project manager, business development manager, account executive. I would definitely say sales as well is a really good background to be able to go into customer success as well. All right, let's move on. User researcher. Wow, they actually have people that research users. This is awesome. So it doesn't surprise me. I love the fact here they have research shows that organizations that utilize customer behavior outperform peers by 85% in sales growth and more than 25% in gross margin. Wow, that is like huge. People or companies now that are actually taking notice of customer behavior, using that to their advantage, maybe looking at potentially like the way they use the apps and how can they like better place products and services because of that, have a much competitive advantage. So some skills, you've got UX research, usability testing, user experience, and previous roles that might help are business analyst, research manager, service designer, user experience designer. So that is a good one. I don't know many people that are doing this role, so if you do see this around, like let me know, that's quite interesting. So number 7, data scientist. I am not surprised by this at all, simply because data, as we know, is like the currency of this age, is what it's being called, and there is obviously so much data that is coming out from actual users online, and even in stores, etc. And the data scientists that are able to literally go in and make sense of all that data, find really good insights, then they are really valuable, because they might actually find something in that data that allows the company to come up with like a new product or a way of like promoting that product, and like double, triple profits, and it is payday for everyone. But that's crazy. I mean, when I first heard of this term data scientist a while back, I was like, oh my God, what on earth does a data scientist do? But some skills that they have: Apache Spark, not heard of that one. Data scientist, machine learning, we've had that one come up before as well. Python, and previous roles, we have analytics specialist, data analyst, and software engineer. So again, software engineer comes up. So really quite a nice, like, diverse range of options that you have from being a software engineer is what I found quite interesting. I hope they're pushing this stuff in schools, to be fair, as you know, it's definitely looking like the future. Number 8, sales development representative, and this is actually the world that I come from. It's great to see that it is on here. Of course, sales is the lifeblood of any business, regardless of what's going on. You've always got to have like sales happening in a business, and that is where, especially if you're selling like premium products, it's really like vital to have salespeople that are able to like help the customers make informed decisions when they're buying premium products. And really some great skills behind that are like business development, lead generation, sales, Salesforce, software as a service. These are things that I've had to do for the last several years, and I can definitely say that is very accurate. Some previous roles: sales executive, business development executive, account manager, anything where you're dealing with people having to sell is a really good way to get into this. Number 9, cloud engineer. So if you guys didn't know, a cloud engineer is the best profession in the world. It's all about when you are able to go into the sky, pick the best looking fluffy cloud, and then come back to Earth with that cloud, manufacture it, and sell it for pillow consumption. So only if that was true, that would be pretty awesome. A cloud engineer, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm not an expert on like cloud computing or anything like that. Companies that are able to build products without needing their own servers. And with that being said, I mean, good skills to have for that: Amazon Web Services, cloud computing, DevOps, Microsoft Azure, Terraform, we've had that come up as well before. And some good backgrounds: DevOps Engineer, Solutions Architect, and Software Engineer again. I've also seen DevOps Engineer come up a few times, and that may or may not be one of these ones on the list. Number 10, Cyber Security Specialist. Doesn't surprise me, this is on here. Like, how much are we hearing about like cyber security breaches? Big companies getting hacked. Like, fair enough, you know, the big companies are getting hacked, and this is when they even have great security in place. But even imagine like small to medium-sized businesses that like have just had to quickly adapt to getting online and really are up against it when they're dealing with like literally thousands and thousands of people trying to hack into their systems on a daily basis. I can definitely say this is a really in-demand skill. Like, I've seen this in pretty much every role that I've been in. Like, it's been a real like challenge for companies in terms of trying to stop hackers from, you know, sending like phish emails. There was this email that I got, and I promise you, it looked so similar to the company email that it was just, it was like an ideal match. The only way that you're able to really tell that the email was not from somebody within the company is because they have like the special thing on top of the email that says this email was sent from an external source in red writing on any email that doesn't come from like the own server in the company. And the people that are like on the other side of this, like trying to get into the systems, they're becoming really sophisticated. So cybersecurity specialists, they are going to be the security of the online world for a business, and some great skills to get into that: cybersecurity, network security, penetration testing. I wonder what that's about. So we'll move on to number 11, which is platform engineer. Are basically able to be specialists at the platform that they are using. So for example, it gives Amazon Web Services an example here. Of course, the skill would be Amazon Web Services for that, DevOps, Docker products, Kubernetes, Terraform, all alien language programs that would be really good for you to learn to get into this sector. We're talking about engineering being a very big growth sector, and then full stack engineer comes on as well. It seems like full stack engineers have the the full set of skills. But essentially, they are there to develop the front and back end code. And also, the skills that they have for that: AngularJS, Git, JavaScript, Node.js, React.js, and yeah, some alien platforms there maybe. But the previous roles that might help with this are front-end developer, Java software engineer, and web developer as well. Comment below, guys, are these things that you were taught about in school? Because I'm only 23 and this is like really, really shocking. Like most of the careers on here, if not like all of them, like so far, we're just definitely like not even spoken about in school. Like, I mean, it's crazy to think like how maybe something like learning about history or geography in school does not really lead to getting into any of these jobs that are really in high demand at the moment. So I hope that changes, but we'll move on. They call it like software as a service, so software selling. So here we go. I mean, in terms of like account management, cloud computing, enterprise software, solution selling are all really, really good skills for this. Of course, for this, it's, you know, very, very big business. And for that, you've definitely got to be somebody that's professional, on the job, likes getting business done. And there's certainly a lot of payoff in terms of financially for landing huge multi-million-dollar deals with these companies. And certainly a good one if you're somebody that really likes selling as well. So previous roles that might be really helpful for this are account executive, account management, sales manager, business development manager. I would say arguably anything that involves you like having to build relationships with businesses or people and actually understanding that selling process as well. And then we move on to DevOps engineer. So I'm obviously not surprised to see this one here. We've seen this come up multiple times in roles that could be really helpful. A DevOps engineer is essentially somebody that, actually, I don't know what a DevOps engineer does. I mean, yeah, I mean, certainly something to check out if you are interested in engineering. I mean, Unix skills, Amazon Web Services, Ansible, DevOps, Docker products, Terraform. We've seen those quite a few times as well. And some good backgrounds, of course: software engineer, systems engineer. You get the point. And finally, we've got content designer as number 15. Great to see this one on the list because obviously with the world of internet and digital marketing, it's of course a really, really big one. It doesn't surprise me that this is out there. Companies now having to build their presence online through all the different platforms to reach their customers rather than, you know, advertising on billboards where people won't see them as much anymore. We could argue this has been happening for a while, but certainly now companies have to be online, otherwise they are going to be dinosaurs. So some great things about content designers is that they should be really good at content strategy, so understanding the different social media platforms. This is something that I definitely recommend if you really love like social media marketing, or you really love like marketing on the internet or so on like that. As it really does take a lot of work to be able to like understand the different platforms. As we all know, these platforms are changing all the time, so you've got to be up to date with it. It's got to be something you enjoy to of course keep learning how these platforms evolve and be looking out for new platforms as well. So yeah, copywriting, that's a really great skill. Web content writing, user experience, content design, content strategy are all key parts. And previous roles that might help with that are graphic designer, content specialist, copywriter, content editor, and definitely digital marketing. I have a digital marketing qualification myself, and can definitely say that would allow me, for example, to go into a role like content designer as well. What do you think of this, guys? I mean, some really key like insights that I've got from this is that, of course, at the moment, it definitely is the case now that anything that is like on the internet, or certainly like above the internet, artificial intelligence, robotics engineering, cloud computing, all these stuff that are like in the air, if you know what I mean, like these skills that allow people to be able to better have good experience in the future of things are things that are really taking off. And then where it's not involved in that, then people skills are really, really, of course, important as well. So just being able to help the end user to better either buy your product or once they have your product to service them, that people element. Even though we have all this like tech and artificial intelligence, I'd love to know your thoughts on the top 15 list. Is there any that you are working on right now to maybe move into this space? And actually, I would say as well, I mean, even if it's the case that you're looking at these lists and there's nothing that you see that you really enjoy on here, then it's fine. Just because they're the emerging jobs doesn't mean that you have to like go into them. At the end of the day, in the next like 10 years time, there are going to be a whole bunch, I guarantee, of like huge new jobs out there that we haven't even thought of right now, as that is literally what has happened, even in my experience from leaving school like 5 years ago. So that is a really good point to say. Of course, you can always as well not have to go into like a specific job. You could make your own actual enterprise. You actually could be the next Elon Musk. So if that's the case where you're like, you know, I don't even want to do these jobs, I want to do something for myself, go ahead and, you know, be as creative as possible. I'm sure the world would love to hear some of the ideas that you have. And of course, you could very much create a whole new category for yourself. Anything is possible. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and like the button as well. Just turn it blue, as that is really nice of you to do that. And also turn on notifications if you want to be posted of all the future videos. I'm going to be posting every Monday, Wednesday and Friday with matters relating how to make, manage or multiply money. This one definitely falls into our category of how to make money, as if we are able to go into an emerging role and actually develop skills outside of that, maybe we get our foundations by maybe working in the job, and then we develop expertise that we can then like develop and showcase online. We could have our own consulting practice, you know, our own course on how to get into these industries. There are lots of different ways that you can actually monetize these skills rather than just being in a job as well. So that is everything from me, guys. See you in the next one. I hope you have an amazing evening, my rich friends.